anyway.
Okay.
Like I said, we're out our medical officer and the security chief, so you're kind of the only one left to do that kind of thing. So yeah.
Hooray! Yeah, there's a reason why I thought no, I'm not going to call in sick for the game. I am going to show up because I am needed.
Oh no, don't worry. I mean, if you had called it, if you had messaged him like, hey, I'm sick, can't make it, I would have just postponed the game because that's half the players that are not there. There's nothing I could have done about that. But I mean,
Indeed.
if you want, you could still do that. It will obviously throw things.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm here as
okay.
well.
Well, if it gets to the point where it's just too hard to talk or whatever, just let me know. We can cut it short and then just like on the 31st come back and finish it. Then that's no big deal. Um,
And
but yeah, how is everyone other than Edgeford being sick?
I'm having too much fun on.
I'm all right. Just opened my first can of beer for the day.
And finish
so,
it.
Yeah.
Then that's no big deal.
All right.
Well, so like I was saying, because Edgeford is feeling under the weather, I'm gonna go, and we don't have our security chief, and our medical person, all three of which were gonna be super important for this episode.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to lean less into the security medical aspect and more into the hey, let's have a talk and see what happens aspect of it. And then if an illness breaks out or if something happens where Captain Osprey is rendered speechless or something, then it will at least make sense. But yeah. So, oh shit, I didn't even write a log. Oh well, that's fine. I'll do it for next time. Let's see. So, aboard the USS Legion, what was Captain Osprey doing? Was he still on the bridge?
oh yeah, he would remain on the bridge for as long as he could. Essentially until it's not his shift anymore.
Gotcha. So, why is this playing? I'm gonna move you guys to. Well, I'll move it to the bridge. Hopefully, it'll stop the music. Yep, it did. Let's see. He's not there. And is Carr in engineering or on the bridge?
He was on the bridge as of last game.
Okay. And I know Lieutenant Neelan, the science officer, is on the bridge. So we'll start on the bridge then. So on the bridge, as you guys know, you have two unknowns in sickbay, both of which are behind a force field. And you do know that security was called just because there was a drain clone. So now they're unless you guys, especially Captain Osprey, say that you want something different, I'm going to say that there's two security officers standing inside sickbay and then two standing on the outside in the corridor.
Oh yes.
So because we don't have a player in sickbay at the moment, I'm just going to go ahead and say some stuff happens, and Lieutenant Mackle is looking at his console, and then he looks up and he walks over and he says, "Captain, request permission to oversee the Dren clone in sickbay personally, since Lieutenant Zukov is, we'll just say, feeling under the weather. Maybe it's going around."
Okay. Osprey will take a moment to consider that request, and the main thing that he's thinking is, are you working with the Dren clone? But he'll have that in the back of his mind, and he'll suss out the guy for a couple of seconds before, unless his sussing gives him any.
If you want insight, command, or security, either one. I'm gonna say it is contested, just because he's him. Let's see, he's got an equal command and security, so it don't matter. He'll go with presence, and he has got 2 successes. So you need to. Oh wow, you definitely beat that. So you guys get 2 momentum automatically straight off the bat. It seemed, as far as you could tell, so he's half Deltan, half human, but as far as you can tell, he thinks he can get information out of the Dren clone with his empathy, or with his, kind of, he has an up as far as like interrogation. Like he can definitely suss out things better than the average person. You don't get the feeling he's working with them. You get the feeling that he doesn't trust the other security people to do their job.
Okay. So Captain Osprey will nod, and he'll say, "Permission granted," and take Lieutenant Truesight with you. So I believe this will be a valuable experience for her to observe your techniques.
Very well, sir. And the two of them bound off for sickbay. I'm going to replace someone there. Let's see, we'll have investigations officer take over that. So, probably 10 or 15 minutes pass. Nothing really happens. And then you get a call from sickbay. From Lieutenant Mackle, and he says, "Captain, the dreaded clone is awake and requesting an audience with you yourself, sir. He won't talk to anybody else."
That is to be expected. Were you? I'm assuming that he cannot hear this conversation.
Yeah, he stepped out in the corridor. So, yeah.
Very well. Were you able to determine anything about him, or he regained consciousness?
Well, he came. There's a couple of things, Romulan hypospray, a couple of vials, a comms device, but other than that, there's nothing he's got on him. And scans reveal, or the medical scans that they did earlier reveal that he's very, we'll just say genetically and cybernetically enhanced. However, none of his enhancements seem to be active at the moment. He's sitting there just kind of talking. He's not really doing anything. He's still behind the force field as well.
Very well. I shall attend in a moment. Captain Osprey out.
Okay.
And then he'll turn to Commander Dawson and say, "Commander Dawson, you have the bridge."
Yes, sir.
And then he'll...
All right.
And then he'll head down to medical.
All right. Are you taking anyone else or just you?
Just him. There's already security down there, his adjutant's down there, and he needs to keep people on the bridge in case something happens.
Okay. Jump to sickbay. Alright. You enter sickbay. I'll throw your token on there. If you can't move it, then maybe see if you can grab your own token and see if that...
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, good. Oh, she's not in there anymore. So you enter, you find someone that looks like that, and you find a Dren clone with, some bruising and some blood dripping down the side of his face. He's definitely got some plasma burns, but it looks like they're being healed by some random nurse that's standing next to him inside the quarantine field. So she may be in danger, but he's not in any danger of getting out, unless he has something that can get him out of a force field, which is likely. But he's not trying to, he doesn't seem to be trying to do anything at the moment. He's just sitting there while she's like running a dermal regenerator over his arm. And you enter, and he just, as soon as he sees you, his face lights up and he smiles. And he says, "Captain, what do I call you? What do I call you, sir?"
He'll smile a little and say, "If your reputation is anything to go by, I think you already know to call me Captain Osprey."
Very well then, Captain Osprey. I have a bit of a request that may or may not have ever been requested by a Dren clone before in this universe, but I am requesting asylum on your vessel until I can get a proper diplomatic immunity from the Federation Council.
He'll nod and say, "What is the reason for your claim for asylum?"
To put it simply, I'm a defector. There's a lot about the Dren clones that, and as he's talking, every few seconds he'll glance over to Amitiel, which I believe she told you guys her name. If not, he'll say, "That's my friend Amitiel." But every once in a while he'll glance back and forth to her, and he says, basically, ours is a forbidden love, and they just didn't want to tolerate that, so I decided it was my time to leave. But besides all that, there's something very important I must tell you secretly. He kind of looks around at the various nurses and medical staff in the area, and he says, that if you have a conference room or some kind of observation lounge that we could, or maybe your ready room, somewhere that's a bit more. He kind of shakes his burnt arm, and he's like, "Yeah, my arms will be fine. My burns will be fine. I wanna. What I have to tell you is kind of important, and it needs to be in private. Hello, Josie. But goodbye, Josie."
Osprey will.
Yeah.
Osprey will nod. Won't actually agree with any of that, but he'll nod in understanding. And he's not swallowing the whole forbidden love thing. That seems way too trite and cliche. So he will say, I'm assuming in Mitiel, whilst she's, of course, being treated well, there is the ability to sort of restrain her in the bed should she decide to leap up and stab Osprey in the neck. He will say, "This is a very interesting claim you are making. Out of character, do we know which Dren clone this is?" And he's got.
I mean, so physically, besides all the genetic modifications and everything, they're pretty much all identical. They start out identical, and then they're genetically enhanced. So basically, their number is just, or their call sign or handle or name or whatever you want to call it, is just assigned to them, and they can pretty much change it at will whenever they want. So the best way to find out is probably just to ask them, because otherwise there's no record that says this is Dren clone such and such.
Yeah, okay. There's no Starfleet intelligence report saying we have encountered Dren clones such and such known as. Okay, cool.
There is an intelligence report, but he's not in it.
Okay, cool. In that case, I say, I will consider your request, but you have me at a disadvantage. How might I refer to you?
Well, my official designation is Dren 222, but you can call me Orca. That's what I go by. It's better to have an actual name than just Dren and then a number. At least it is for me anyway. But what I need to talk to you about is kind of urgent. Probably don't put it off for more than an hour. If you do, some very bad things might happen.
And why is this information so burningly sensitive that only I can hear it?
Well, the obvious first part about the asylum is you're the only one that could grant it, and the second part is that, I don't exactly know who I can trust. As you may not imagine, the Infamous has a lot of people in a lot of places, and there are certain people on the ship that I know I could trust, and there are certain people on the ship that I just have no idea about. So I'd rather it just be you and me.
I understand. However, I'm sure you appreciate my abundance of caution at a Dren clone requesting to be alone in a room with me.
Absolutely.
I would be foolish to grant that quite so blankly.
You could tie me up and put me in a force field if you want, but it's got to be. It's got to be soon, and it's got to be the two of us. You can even have your AI watch if you want. He's fine.
Out of character, I'll insight that to see if this is a trap.
Oh yeah, insight and command or security, either one. It's not contested, but the difficulty is 2 because Dren clones are notoriously difficult to read.
Yeah, I'll consume 1 point, and yeah, I don't think constantly watching will apply. So here we go. Yep, that's I succeed and I regain that 1 point of momentum.
All right. Yeah. Excuse me. So, you want to know specifically if he was just trying to lure you into a trap? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
It seems like he's pretty. He at least is convinced of what he's saying. Like, he thinks there is something urgent that he is trying to warn you guys about. Whether or not that's the fact of the matter is a different story. But he is definitely on the up and up as far as he's concerned at the moment.
Okay. And I'm assuming that a sovereign class has got more than one medical bay.
Yeah, you could probably just go down a corridor or something and then be in a private medical bay with a force field and everything.
Well, that would involve taking down this one. Instead,
Just have everyone
Osprey
else
will.
leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Osprey will turn to the most senior medical personnel on duty and gesture to the second new arrival and say, "Is she medically fit to?"
The ship surgeon, Lieutenant Wren, walks up and says, Amatiel is fit to move. She is fit to pretty much do whatever she wants. And she kind of whispers, kind of conspiratorially to you. She says, whether or not she chooses to leave his side is a different issue. They've pretty much been, at least as far as I could tell, they don't want to. They don't. Neither one of them seems to want to leave the other's side up until the moment that Dren mentioned, that he needs to talk to you alone. But then she'll just kind of let you make the decision on whether or not you guys should try to move her or what.
Osprey nods at that, and he will turn to the Dren clone and say, Orca, I am loath to separate you from the pod, but we can have this conversation. We will have it here from behind the force field that you are already in, and our various staff and your friend will be relocated to a nearby medical facility where she will continue to receive care.
When you say that, he just nods, but she kind of... I'm imagining there is a force field around her, although I can't remember if Peck specifically set that up. But either way, if there is, then she just walks through it like it's not there, and then she says, if you wish me to leave, I can leave.
Okay. He'll look at that in a case of, well, this was not good for the trusting relationship, but okay. And he'll say, thank you for your cooperation. Please go with the rest of these personnel.
Very well.
And he'll give like the look at the security guys in a case of figure out how to restrain that.
Alright, so...
Which hopefully they have already thought of themselves.
Okay, actually, go ahead and make an insight security check. And as she's walking towards the door, and I'm guessing you want the two security guards to leave too?
Yeah, although the two ones immediately outside the door will be there, and also, like, the security system will still be on.
Yeah, everything
so
will be the same.
Watch the cameras.
Yeah, it's just the people won't be there. Okay, so yeah, make an inside security roll on her. Difficulty is going to be 2 as well. Not necessarily because she's trying to like present or contest anything. It's more like she's just difficult to read.
Yeah. Well, I'll consume the 1 momentum again. And back to 2. Very consistent.
Right. Yes. So she unlike the Q where they're like so powerful that they just like toying with other individuals. She's so powerful that she doesn't consider like anyone a threat. So she doesn't really. She like the force field. It would be like if you were walking like through a field and you suddenly found like a wall that was a foot tall and you just walked over it and kept on moving like it was nothing. Like that's what she considered the force field. She's not thinking that she's being threatening or anything. She's just like, oh, he wants me to leave, walks through the force field, stuff like that. She doesn't seem to be threatening in a in a way that like she could probably be threatening, but she doesn't seem to want to be threatening at the moment.
That's good. But yes, once they have all left, the captain will turn to the Dren clone and say, so, Orca, you have my undivided attention.
So 2 things. One, even though there's nobody in here, I still can't be 100% upfront with with you about everything because my people have like really, really good surveillance. But I can say that you probably have someone on your ship who is acting for the Infamous Allegiance. That being said, I can also tell you that within a few hours, I will also be acting for the Infamous Allegiance because Dren clones are programmed with certain personality and mental disorders like narcissism and psychosis and all that kind of good stuff, split personality, all that. So basically, regardless of how well intentioned we may be at some points in our lives, we're eventually going to go crazy and try to kill people. So if you could get me to some kind of secure facility, like as soon as possible, that would be great.
So, again, add a character, his immediate suspicion is you are just trying to learn where one of these secure facilities is so you can
So
then,
paranoid,
bust
man.
someone out of it. And you can bust out of it with your demigod friend. So he will...
You know what? Make an insight security check, another one. This one will be difficulty 2 as well. Same reasons as before. He's not contesting anything. But this will give you more information as to whether or not he is actually, like... It'll give you more information about him, personally.
Yeah, I'll continue to assume 1 momentum.
Oh! But you got the success.
So that's a success, but
With
there are
2
complications. So I'm going to use my talent, Cautious Command, to just re-roll one of them anyway.
Okay. And then spend the other momentum to re-roll the other one?
And then... Yeah, spend the momentum to re-roll the other one. So complication range 3.
Alright. So
there we go.
And you get that 1 momentum back for that 1 roll that you did. So, yeah, it's pretty good. So as far as you could tell, as far as the crazy part, like the part where the Dren clones are programmed to go crazy, and like that part, you can already see starting to happen. Like he's twitching here and there. He's like clenching his fists and like grabbing onto things and like you could even at one point see him like puts his hands behind his back, and you hear like a crack as he like snaps one of his fingers. Like he's already like starting to show signs of like a degraded mental state. And then as far as like whether or not he's just trying to see if he can get an upper hand, if he is, it's because of that mental state. Like he may be trying to get information from you as well, but he's probably actually being sincere when he says you do have someone on board that is working against you.
Okay, Osprey will nod, and he'll say, so you will revert to being a hostile agent in a few hours.
Yes.
And you will continually revert to being a hostile agent unless there is some form of intervention.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What advantage would there be to Starfleet in accommodating you if you were to revert to being a hostile agent perpetually?
Well, at least if I was in a secure facility, then they could interrogate me. They could get some of the genetic research out of my body. They could probably do, get some of the cybernetics out. They could probably, and then for no reason that you could tell, he just stops in the middle of his sentence and just stares blankly, and then he looks back to you. And and then he says, just stuff like that.
All right, so something's starting to push at his mind.
He doesn't seem to realize it either at the moment.
Yep. Okay. Well, Osprey wants to take this guy alive, and even though Osprey's being like a little threatening, he genuinely believes in Starfleet. So when a guy requests asylum, unless you've got good reason to say no, you accept it. Mm-hmm. So unless he thinks this guy's deliberately fooling the system, he's going to accept it. That's what Starfleet does. But he's keeping that back. He's making the Dren clone hopefully think that this could go either way.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? That's a good idea. Make a presence and command check. And this one is going to be contested because he's trying to read you to see if you're going to do it or not.
We've only got 1 momentum, so I won't spend any. I'll just roll.
Okay, I am going to spend a threat to get an extra dice. Excuse me. And he has a focus in... I don't know if he actually has a focus. I don't think espionage counts in this case. Yep, no, he doesn't. Ooh.
Hey.
So yeah, he sees what you're doing, but I'll give you this for free. He doesn't seem to mind. He seems to accept the fact that he's, basically a prisoner, and for the moment he is comfortable in that position.
Okay.
All right.
Well, this is all. Carry on.
No, I was just gonna say if there's anything else you want to do, because I was gonna jump to Neelan and Kara real quick.
No, all Osprey will do now, because he's made up his own mind to accept this, is have a very secure line set up to someone senior in the Admiralty, inform them of the situation and ask them to identify an appropriate facility, because that facility is going to need to be put on notice, etc.
Okay. So Carr and Neelan were both on the bridge, so I'm gonna jump. Are you heading back to the bridge, by the way, or are you gonna stick around there and try to get more information, or go?
He'll stick around there until and talk to him, get a bit more info until it looks like he's become mentally useless or reverted to hostility.
That'll
and
take
then...
a while. That probably like
Okay.
towards the end of the session when we need a nice combat situation. That's how long roughly it'll take.
Fine. In that case, he'll be down there until he's needed on the bridge.
Okay. So yeah, what is Lieutenant Carr and Lieutenant Neelan up to on the bridge?
Carr's doing his job.
Okay. Anything specific or just generic randomness?
Probably just generic. I mean, unless there's some crazy stuff about to happen that he would be aware of. But no, I'm pretty sure it's just business as usual for him.
Okay. And what about Neelan?
I'm doing a sensor sweep.
Okay. Of the inside of the ship or the exterior, like the local space?
The local space around us.
Alright. Roll a reason and science. And by the way, Osprey, once you pick these guys up from their escape egg, which is basically what it is, did you head? Where did you go? Did you head back towards Starbase, or did you head deeper into uncharted territory, or just sit there?
I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing we didn't have any reason to head deeper into uncharted territory, but clearly there's something weird going on in the area. So Osprey will have, just in case he needs to respond to something weird in the area, he'll have given command to move to a different location that's no deeper nor shallower, as it were, in the unknown area, like go sideways. So they're not just sitting in the same place and easy to find.
Right, and
but
also,
they're still in a position to respond.
And also, you do have a Romulan warbird and a Klingon warship that can back you up in case something does happen. Just as a reminder. So yeah, I just checked the map. You guys are basically like on this side of the line of uncharted, unexplored space. So yeah, you're still in explored space basically. Okay, so Neelan.
Yep. And I got an 8 and a 1.
All right, so you got 3 successes. I'm gonna say difficulty was just 1, so you guys get 2 momentum. The egg, this biological escape pod that was out there, this organic escape pod, after probably 20 minutes, starts to like break down and starts to just become like nothing. It's kind of like when you have an egg, like an actual egg, and you throw it outside. Eventually, it's going to become compost, basically. So it seems like this escape pod is basically like disintegrating into nothingness. But it also seems to be like a kind of like a normal byproduct of its function. Like once you escape and then you're rescued, you don't need the escape pod anymore, and that's kind of like what you think that this might be. Let me get an insight engineering from Lieutenant Carr. I'm not going to tell you the difficulty though, and the ship will assist. Oh yeah, that's right. We should have had the ship assist for sensors too. Let me roll that. Alright, so you guys get an extra momentum, so you're up 4. And then I'll roll for the computers, which is a 14, because you have an AI and engineering. Nice. Alright, so that's 4 successes. The difficulty was 3, so you get another momentum. So as you're just running diagnostics, doing random things from your console, checking in with your people in engineering, and stuff like that. So engineering and ops both look at like for example, and security too, but they only do it if necessary. But you guys always look at whenever, let's say for example, a turbolift is in use, like you probably can look in the computer and see how many times a turbolift has gone up and down, all that kind of stuff. And at some point you come across a Jeffries tube where the door, to crawl into the Jeffries tube, has been opened way more times than it should have been. Like usually it's maybe once, and that's if someone's doing maintenance. This has been like 6 times within the last 20 minutes or so. So someone's going in and out of there for some reason. Whether or not you guys, or whether or not Lieutenant Carr wants to say anything about it, that's a different story though. It's up to Lieutenant Carr.
Carr will contact engineering. I'm guessing Ustom's probably the one in charge down there.
Sure.
So he'll just be like, Carr to Ustom.
Ustom
Can
here.
you? What is the scheduled maintenance for Jeffrey's Tube 38B or whatever?
He'll look down. Give me one moment. You hear some tapping on the other end. He'll come back and say, "We have no maintenance in that area, Lieutenant."
Okay. Can you run a diagnostic on that door sensor? I'm showing that it's been opened and closed several times.
Yes, sir. One moment, and then you'll hear again more consoles, or console beeps, and then he'll respond like maybe 30 seconds later and says, "Yes, sir. We've got it registered open 6 times. Now 7 times." And then all of a sudden, both of you, Ustom and Lieutenant Carr, as you're looking at your console, the record of it being opened is deleted, like it never happened.
Oh, that's not normal.
No, it's not, sir. Would you like us to send security to investigate? With a tech team, maybe?
I think that's a good idea. So then after ending that conversation, he'll turn to, let's see, it is Lawson who is
Dawson,
currently in command. Dawson, my bad.
Oh, you're good. Yep.
And he'll just...
Sorry, go ahead.
He'll just say, there's something, I don't know, there might be a security issue. I don't know. Now I feel like I shouldn't be saying anything to him. But oh well, he's already called him over at this point. So he'll just be like, we registered Jeffrey's Tube being opened and closed several times, and then the record was just deleted. So I've dispatched some of my guys and some security to investigate.
Good idea. I'll notify the captain. And then as he heads back, because he walked over to like look at your console to like see it for himself, then he walks back to the captain's chair and presses the button on the armrest and says, "Dawson to Osprey."
Osprey here.
We've got a report of Jeffrey's Tube on your deck that has been opened, as far as engineering is concerned, more times than it should be. I just wanted to let you know that we're dispatching security and engineering to investigate.
Please do so. Please also dispatch some extra personnel. The medical facility containing both of our guests, and attempt to isolate the security systems around both of those medical facilities. I believe an agent may attempt to reach one of our 2 new rivals.
Understood, Captain. Bridge out. Alright, and we will come back to that investigation in a moment. For now, we're going to go back, or we are going to, let's see, where is it? Conference room? No, that's not it. Diplomacy. Yep, that's it.
Just as a side note,
Yep.
it won't take anything. When that communique is ended, Osprey will turn to the Drenglone with a slight smile and say, "We're about to lose some of our privacy. The cat has been put amongst the pigeons."
I'm just reading your message on Roll20. Let's have a facility to head to Osprey will relay a command that we are to head to it, though at a slightly indirect route. So do you want the bridge to kind of look for a facility? So I'll go ahead and tell you right now, Starbase 364 is the only facility in your immediate area that even has a hope of containing a Dren clone or an Egoroi. Everything else is like way deeper into Federation territory.
Okay, in that case, head for 364, but a slight zigzag pattern might confuse anyone who's attempting to monitor us.
Do you let the Romulans and Klingons know what you're doing, or are you just going in a zigzag pattern and hoping they follow and don't ask questions?
If we just go in a zigzag pattern, they'll get paranoid. So he'll give a captain's eyes only communique to both of the ships.
All right. And just so you guys know, because the general and the admiral are on the starbase doing diplomacy, their quote-unquote first officer is a captain. So basically, who's in charge of those ships are captains, but technically it's their first officers, if that makes any sense. So back on the starbase, diplomacy between Commander Zed, Admiral Hebert, General Shomuk, and Admiral Sakima and the 2 Egregoi is continuing. Commander Zed, you have just discerned that Baraka is a bit more irritable and stubborn, while Kalmia is more understanding and diplomatic. You have also convinced Admiral Haybear that every faction representative in this room needs to be united to defeat the infamous allegiance. Is there anything else that Commander Zed would like to say or do at this moment?
No, not right now. He would suggest that we all sit down and hear all sides of the argument, hear everyone's side, so that everyone can get their voice and opinion on each of the matters at hand.
Okay, so Kalmia actually does sit down. She seems to be a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Agreeable, but also more able, more comfortable associating, or not associating, appropriating, that's the word, the norms of other cultures. You get the feeling that these people don't sit down like ever, like they're like perpetually standing. You don't know why you get that feeling. You just get the feeling that if they ever actually tried to sit where they're from, somebody would come and like beat them or something. But she does sit down. He continues to stand. He actually moves closer to the door, which everybody entered from, but he doesn't like, you know, move quickly or move towards the door, out the door. He just stands there like he kind of like signaling like, okay, I'm getting tired of this, I'm ready to leave. Kalmia states, my friends, harnessing the power of the Basin Rift portal is the first step to defending against the infamous allegiance. That through that portal, their reinforcements will come. We must protect it at all costs, if we cannot destroy it. Does Commander Zed reply, or?
You all need to stand together. Not one faction at this table can do this alone. We all need to do this together.
Baraka actually says, then you agree. All, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 factions will send ships to protect the Basin Rift portal. Admiral
That's the problem.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's the problem. Every faction at this table disagrees on one thing or another.
And Kalmia will
We need to set us.
But if we can agree on the Basin Rift portal, we are one step closer to agreeing on everything, or at least compromising.
Yes.
And General Shimuk says, I have no problem. As long as the Romulans have no problem with the Klingons entering their territory, I will send ships to protect the portal. And Admiral Sakima says, as will I, of course. Admiral Haybear seems to be quiet. She doesn't seem to be saying anything. What does Zed do or say?
Admiral Haybear, are you okay?
I'm fine, Commander. I'm just taking all of this in, and I can't help but to I can't help but to wonder if there is some sort of compromise that we can come to regarding the Basin Rift portal. I don't think that there is any doubt in anyone's mind here that that thing will end up being used by the infamous allegiance if left alone. I agree that we should destroy it rather than try to protect it. Kalmia looks to you and she says, your father is here. What does he think? Your father appears kind of similarly as usual, translucent, kind of purplish blue, and he says, whoa, that's weird. Nobody but the prophets has ever been able to detect my presence. Anyway, I think that destroying the portal should be our top priority. Failing that, we need to protect it and defend it from outside forces. That is my opinion.
I think destroying it would be beneficial, but if we can't destroy it, then we'll have to defend it.
The only person that seems to disagree with that, like just outright, is Admiral Sakima, and she says, "I understand everyone's fear of this anomaly that is in our space, but rest assured, nothing has come out of it in a long time, and every probe that we have sent into the portal has given us telemetry of different universes. We've never gotten the same universe twice. The notion that the infamous allegiance could somehow control the portal and use it is preposterous at best."
The only person in this room that can tell you that they can control going into different multiverses is me.
She looks at you when you say that, and for probably for the first time that you can tell. Oh, let me get rid of that bridge noise. But for the first time that you can tell, a look of kind of realization comes across her face, and she nods and says, "Yes, of course. If you came by accident, then it is only a matter of manipulation from the infamous allegiance. At
Yes.
some point, he will be able to control it."
That's why we need to destroy it. Or at least have it in our possession so they don't have control of it.
And Admiral Sakima just kind of sighs and nods slowly and says, "Very well. We will first try to destroy it. However, the Romulan Republic does not have the means to do such a thing. At best, we would end up destroying half the Basin Rift along with it, and with it, and every starbase and ship in the Basin Rift. We need to figure out a method to do it without causing more damage to surrounding space."
That's where our best scientists and engineers need to come into play for you.
Baraka says, "Oh, go ahead."
That's why our best engineers and scientists need to come together to come up with a better solution on how to do it without destroying the multiverse.
Baraka kind of laughs. "That's all well and good, but what about the infamous allegiance that's still here in this universe? Surely you don't just expect us to ask them to leave. We must destroy them all."
There can be a compromise because they've always had anarchy within their own ranks. So
"That is because they are all evil and insane. We must destroy them all, wipe them out, one fell swoop."
the only way we can break them down is civil war within their own ranks.
"Perhaps that is one way. The Igragoi, with the might of the Klingons, Romulans, and Federation, can swoop in and destroy the Dominion within weeks. After that, it is only a matter of time before the Breen fall, and then the rest of the infamous allegiance."
Admiral?
The Admiral is kind of... I mean, she's maintaining her air of professionalism, but she is kind of appalled at what Baraka is saying, and she shakes her head slowly and slightly, and she says, "I don't think all-out war is necessary nor wanted by anybody, not even the infamous allegiance. That's why he's doing what he's doing slowly. If we ignite a war like that, We may win in the long term, but we're going to lose millions, maybe billions of people in the process. We don't want another Dominion war. We don't want another Borg incursion. And by the way, just to remind everyone, the Infamous does have the Borg in his armada. So let's all keep that in mind too. Let's not forget about them. We need to mitigate the death toll, not go out guns blazing and hope for the best. I think we need to actually come to some kind of diplomatic talks with the Infamous Allegiance. Either that or send some intelligence agents in to stir up trouble, cause a division from within followed by an internal collapse. Failing that, it's going to be, the cost will be too great.
I think in my universe, where I was from, the way we were able to get the Infamous to literally sit down and do talks was put him in a bind where he couldn't fight on two fronts. One from within and one without on the outside. So if we technically start a civil war within the ranks, we apply very much pressure from the outside, we'll be able to literally bring him to a table and have demands that can be met.
Admiral Haybear says, that is a possibility. However, I don't like the idea of sending in spies and saboteurs who may be caught, but also may end up causing undue pain and suffering and death to people who don't deserve it. Keep in mind, 75 to 90% of the Infamous Allegiance are mind-controlled slaves. They don't even know. They don't have a choice in what they're doing. The Dren clones and their soldiers, okay, that's one thing. They're mercenaries, they're pirates, okay. But the slaves and the servants who have the brain nanites that control them, they don't have any say in the matter. So we have to be careful how far we want to take this. And then as she's in the middle of talking, Baraka kind of steps up and says, our intelligence reports say that they are already fighting amongst themselves. The Dominion has made 2, at the very least, attempts against the Infamous Allegiance from within. It's only a matter of time. We just need to stir the pot.
Yeah. Enough to incite civil war within their ranks.
Alright, roll Presence Command against Haybear, Admiral Haybear. She's the one you really have to convince. The others will follow y'all's lead, but Admiral Haybear is definitely against this idea. So I'm going to roll for her. I'm going to spend a threat well, first of all, to figure out what her presence and command is, because I didn't write that down. And then I'm going to get another
I'm going to buy 3 dice.
Okay, so she got 2 successes.
3
You need at least 2 successes at least. You're going to buy 3, you said?
Yeah.
All right,
What?
So that puts you guys down to what? 2 momentum?
Yep.
You got 4, so you get your 2 momentum back, so you're up to 4 momentum now. And yeah, it's barely, like, you could tell she's resistant, but she's like, fine. But if we do this, we need to go to the Federation Council, Starfleet Command, Starfleet Intelligence, Starfleet Security, and we need to talk to them about it, figure out an actual plan, an actual strategy. We can't just send random, like we used to with the Dominion War, just send in random Section 31 agents and hope for the best. Like, this has to be strategic, because remember, if they're caught, if we're caught doing this, all-out war will break out anyway.
I agree. That's why I think it's best if we come up with a definite plan on to do this, Admiral.
Alright. I'm just taking notes. Destroy portal or protect it. Alright. Is there anything else that Commander Zed has before we go back to the Legion?
No, he doesn't.
Okay. So, Captain Osprey is still in sickbay, I'm assuming trying to glean more information. You guys are kind of taking the long way back to the starbase. More security have been moved to various locations around the two sick bays to make sure nobody gets in, nobody gets out. So what do you
Osprey
guys?
will.
Yeah, go ahead.
He'll ask security to have masks nearby, which I imagine would be part of like standard fire response gear. Because if he were a saboteur trying to go after a Dren clone and people were in the room with him who weren't superhuman, one of the first things he'd do is flood the room with anethazine gas. So he will be prepared for that.
Okay. And is he the only one gonna have it, or is he giving Dren one too?
Oh, all the people who are near,
Everyone
all the security
nearby?
and
Okay.
medical. Yeah, everyone who's nearby.
All right, so that's fine. Everyone can have some gas masks. They have those clear ones that only cover the mouth and nose. Even when they wear it in space, it's like, yeah, that'll work. But yeah, you guys are good on that. But he does take a couple steps towards the force field and says, hey, Captain, there's I brought some stuff with me. I was wondering if I could get those, at least a couple of those things back. And he starts scratching himself. You can see as he's scratching his neck, like, it starts to scrape until blood starts to be seen. Like, he doesn't even realize he's doing it. He's just like, if I could get my things, that'd be great.
Calm yourself for a moment, Orca. You will do yourself an injury. And he gestures at the neck to pay attention to it.
He lowers his hands, and you can see his hands starting to shake, and he like clenches a fist, and he says, only a few more hours now. But listen, that stuff, the green stuff in the vial, I'm pretty sure your security deputy tossed it somewhere. Didn't know what it was. Whatever you do, don't let me get a hold of it. It'll make me as powerful as Emmettil, maybe more. Do you understand?
I understand. What pieces of equipment do you want?
That comms device doesn't have an outgoing or incoming functionality. It's purely for recording. And he kind of looks. I'll tell you for free that without having to roll, you can see genuine shame on his face when he says it. He says it's just for recording letters to Emmettil. If I could get that, I would appreciate it. And you could do scans on it to determine if it doesn't have any subspace outgoing,
ingoing capability. That's fine.
I understand. And then he'll lean in a little bit and say something along the lines of, I don't particularly that you would have been exiled just for a forbidden love, but you really do care, don't you? Out of character, Osprey isn't entirely convinced of that. He's fishing for a reaction.
Yeah. He does another twitch and like looks away, and he like starts wringing his hands, and he says, it's complicated. In our culture, if you could call it that, the infamous is basically our god. Any kind of devotion to anyone else, romantic or not, is not looked well upon. That is why they knew I would turn against them eventually. Even with my psychosis, I was too unpredictable.
Well, as long as you remain rational, perhaps we can have some conversations less about how to help you and more about how to help her.
She'll be fine. She's godlike. She can do whatever she wants. She's just here because of me. She's the one that had the pod ready.
And how loyal is she to you once you revert back to your more hostile state?
She'll do whatever she thinks is right, same as you.
Interesting. It's out of character. It's probably not hard to tell that Osprey is worrying if she's gonna just do whatever you say when you go hostile. Having her be a god is like.
Roll. Yeah, if you want to, I can give this to you for free because of your good, like really good insight rolls from before. But if you want, maybe you could gain more momentum. I'll give you an insight command difficulty 1 to tell to get the kind of how the relationship is basically. And this is
right.
And you could also, if you want. You could actually spend momentum if you want after that to get the logs from his comms device as well.
That was going to be one of the things I was going to do. So yeah, I'll be greedy and roll it, and then be punished for my greed.
Nah, as long as you don't get a complication.
Maybe. Don't worry. Let me see. I will. This one is potentially very important, so I'll buy that one out, if I may, for the 2 momentum.
Okay. So yeah, as it's a strange kind of relationship because obviously she's this godlike entity. She doesn't need him for anything. But you do get the feeling that it was there is a piece of information that's missing from this whole thing. But you do get the feeling that whatever it is, however the relationship is, it's reciprocal and it's mutual. There doesn't seem to be one person trying to use the other. It seems to be an actual genuine relationship. It doesn't necessarily have to mean it's romantic or even like a traditional kind of friendship or anything like that. But there is some kind of reciprocal relationship there, and he does care about her. Whatever that looks like to a psychotic Dren clone narcissist, he does care about her.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, Osprey's not going to be afraid to leverage that when it comes time. But he will nod and say, of course, if you have only a few hours, I will obtain your recording device for you and pass any messages that may be left on to her, assuming we can recover it.
So yeah, for free, I'll tell you that the Mackle just shoved all his stuff into like a locker in the sick bay. So all you have to do is go get it. And if you want, if you want to get the logs that are on it, that'll be a 1 momentum spin, and I'll give you.
At the risk of going down to 1 momentum, I think that may be important. So yeah, Osprey will also give another command, which is that substance that effectively makes the Dren clone super Dren clone.
Yeah.
He'll order that it be thoroughly scanned and its chemical composition noted so we can analyze it, but that then once a thorough scan has been done and its chemical structures on our file, disintegrate.
Okay. All right. So, are you spending that momentum?
Yeah.
Okay. So it looks like there was probably a dozen recorded letters or logs that have all but one have been deleted, and I'll go ahead and tell you for free that it looks like it was deleted probably a few hours before you guys found them in space. So basically, whatever happened prior to them escaping, quote unquote, is what caused him to delete their logs. So it doesn't really seem to have anything to do with you or the ship, the Legion. But the only file left on there is a voice file from the Dren clone to her, and it says, "O Amitio, angel of truth and peace, I thank you for your loving and gracious and swift response. Our connection shall endure longer than any empire, any species, any god. We will outlast the Federation, the infamous allegiance, even the Egregoi choir themselves. My devotion to you and my zeal for our companionship will be reflected in my actions to do the will of Amitio."
All right. Osprey will note that. He'll also make sure that the thing really is just a recording device, as he suggests.
It is.
And as he is heading up to the bay to give it to him, and he'll pass it through, I'm assuming, some kind of system that means that the force field doesn't need to come down.
Sure.
He'll be thinking to himself, I never thought I'd meet a angsty teenage Dren clone.
Yeah. He takes the once you give it to him, he takes the device and just kind of like he cradles it at his chest for a moment, looks down at it, and it looks like he doesn't know what to do with it, and then he just kind of sets it down on the bed behind him.
Okay. Oh, also I should point out, in case it's important, whenever Osprey isn't in the room, he's going and getting stuff, True Sight and 2 security agents are, so he's never in the room alone.
Oh, you mean when you're leaving sickbay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, once he's told you what he told you, you could bring everyone back if you want. Like his information delivery is done basically, so you can bring everyone back if you want.
Okay, easier to protect one place than two.
Yeah.
So yeah, he'll bring one in.
Okay.
And he'll make a note to thank Amitiel for her cooperation.
Okay. Well, do you do that when she comes in, or do you do that because I'm basically bringing them in now, or do you do that?
Oh yeah, like as soon as he sees her.
Oh, okay. And she'll just say, "You are welcome," and that's all she says.
Fine.
But yeah, let me just grab I want to make sure I got all the NPC tokens on the board because where people are about to be important. Let's see. Who was the other ones? Medical. Ensign Kavipri. She'll just stay there at the console doing stuff. And we'll say Ben Locke is back. And that's it. I'll tell you for free.
And since...
Oh, no, go ahead.
Carry on. I was going to say, and since there's borderline an intruder alert, Osprey is armed.
Okay. I'll go ahead and tell you for free. Ship Surgeon Wren should be on duty. She is not here.
Alright, Osprey will tap his communication badge and say, Captain Osprey to Surgeon Wren.
Wren here.
Surgeon Wren, what is your current location?
There's a pause for probably 3 or 4 seconds, and then she says, Turbolift 4, on my way back to sickbay.
Osprey gives, gestures that obviously Wren won't be able to hear. One of the security agents that just, it's like, check that now.
Okay. He leaves.
And, yep. And then he would say, thank you, Surgeon Wren. Tap his communicator, and then tap his communicator again. Captain Osprey to bridge.
Dawson here.
Commander Dawson, please pull internal sensor data for the past half an hour and run a log of Lieutenant Wren's location.
So that is when, on the bridge, Dawson and Carr exchange knowing looks. Because you guys know that as you guys were looking at the sensor logs for the Jeffries tube, Surgeon Wren was one of the people in that general vicinity. It is on the same deck as sickbay. However, that specific Jeffries tube goes down Turbolift 4 towards engineering, and less than 5 seconds later, the engineer on duty, which is supposed to be, well, actually, I won't say that. So yeah, Ustam is supposed to be in engineering right now. However, s5e09 Sturk Aredo contacts the bridge. Sturk to bridge. We got a problem here down in 32B Jeffries tube. Oh yeah, that's me. Dawson kind of connects the comms over to the engineering station, and he says, "Go ahead." Sturk says, "We found 3 individuals unconscious in 32B Jeffries tube, and one of them is Chief Engineer Ustam. Apparently, he went with the techs to go investigate. We were wondering why it took him 10 minutes to respond, but it doesn't, or to investigate and then respond. It looked like he didn't get a chance. Somebody hypo sprayed him, a couple other techs, and Lieutenant Peck." Dawson.
Where are the security forces that we sent there?
From that, you get security officer. Let's see. Looking. She's on the bridge. Ship's armor, Mazette. She says, "This is Lieutenant Mazette. I was right behind Lieutenant Ustam and his team. They wanted to get in there first, so I was about a minute away before they got in there. But yeah, we found them just the way Mr. Sturk said. We were about to report it."
Or he'll mute that comm for a second, turn back to Dawson and say, wait a second, so security was a minute behind, didn't report anything, and then 10 minutes later I have to find out from another engineer that something's going on?
Dawson says, "Yeah, that doesn't seem right. We're gonna have to do a full ship system or ship's internal sensor scan." He looks over to Neelan. "Run an internal sensor scan. I want to know where everyone is at any time. So, Neelan, if you want to give me a reason and science, difficulty 1, and this will basically tell you the and I'll roll for the ship. Basically, the true order of events based on like what we would call CCTV, but also just internal sensors.
I got an 18 and a 5.
Okay, so that's 1 success, and the ship got 2 successes, so you guys get 2 momentum. So yeah, basically it looks like the Ustam did not wait for the security team, went ahead. You don't see Lieutenant Wren. You see on the sensor readout Lieutenant Wren's comm badge in that area, and you see his comm badge, as well as Lieutenant Peck's, like 30 minutes prior. Their vitals basically go down really low as if they're unconscious, and then a minute later, you see the comm badge of, what was the name? Lieutenant Mazette show up. Lieutenant Wren shows up. They're together, and then Sturk shows up 10 minutes later, and that's when you get the report. Lieutenant Wren. By that time, Lieutenant Wren has already left and is heading towards sickbay.
Commander, you might want to take a look at this. There's some inconsistencies, and I bring it over to his console.
He looks at it, and he says, "It looks like Lieutenant Mazek and Lieutenant Wren were in communication with each other. And in that instance, he is going to make an executive decision unless the captain wants to override him, and he is going to go to intruder alert."
Yeah, the only reason why I hadn't already ordered that is because Osprey can't hear this conversation.
Yeah, I don't see my red alert sound effects.
Yeah. Red alert and Lieutenant Wren and Lieutenant Mazek to be detained, and an extra check to be made on all systems that they could have had access to.
Okay. Just imagine that there's a red alert sound effect. Yeah, basically, they're locked out. Wherever they are, there's force shields just around them at this point. Now, while that's going down, Lieutenant Nealon, you're the chief science officer, and the captain wanted a scan of this kind of greenish, neon green, translucent substance that's within the vial. Do you want to do that from the science console, which will make it more difficult, but it will give you a bonus question to ask if you succeed, or do you want to go down to the lab to do it, which will make it easier, but you don't get the bonus question?
I'll take the harder option for the bonus question.
All right. So this is going to be...
How many momentum are we at?
You are at
We have
3
3.
momentum. Yep.
Okay.
And keep in mind, if you're on the bridge running scans, you do get that free question as a science officer. So I forgot to remind you from before with the previous scans, but you do get a free question. So if you have a question that comes up, even if it's about what I already told you about the security issue with Lieutenant Wren and the others, you can ask it. If not, then you can go ahead and roll reason and science. Difficulty is going to be 2. It would have been 1 in the lab, but it's 2. And I'm going to roll computers and science for the ship. Ship got...
All right, yeah, I'm gonna buy an extra dice.
Okay. Down to 2 momentum.
Oh, nice. I got a 1 and an 8.
All right, so you got 3 successes plus the ship is 5. And
a 5.
And a 5, so that's... Let's see, 2... So you got... Hold on, 2... 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 total successes. The difficulty was 2, so plus 4 momentum. So you guys are up 6 momentum. And I'll tell you the basic information, and then you can ask your extra question if you want. So, as you are detecting electroplasma within this vial, the ship sensor says anyway. However, there's a lot of elements within it that you cannot identify, like base elements that are just the natural building blocks of the universe. There's a lot of elements within it that your sensors are like, I have no idea what this is. But the thing that you can detect is some electroplasma energy within it. I will also tell you that you're detecting some anaphasic energy, which is basically like a non-corporeal alien type of energy, that type of energy that non-corporeal aliens use to kind of do stuff. Whether it's to become corporeal or to attack people, stuff like that. So that's what do you have any questions, or do you have a question?
Yeah, my question is this. Would I be able to do more of a better scan if I used like a biomimetic scanner, or a bioplasma scanner, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, you could do that from the lab. That's why it would have been the difficulty 1. But if you have another question besides, I think your character would already know that. So if you have anything more specific about this, like about the vial and what's in it.
Is that energy, the plasma energy, is it living?
There is a familiar element similar to what you guys encountered on the Patriot with that plasma-based parasite. There is something similar to that, and it's not exactly the same. It looks like it's been altered or something like that. But yeah, you think that they're related.
Okay.
All right. So
what I'll do is I'll tap my comm badge and say, "Captain Osprey, this is Lieutenant Nealon. Come in."
Yes, Lieutenant Captain Osprey here.
I just did the scan that you ordered. I'm going to send it to the nearest console. You might want to take a look at it.
Okay. Osprey will head over to it, but he's aware now that every second may count. So he'll say, "Give me your analysis, Lieutenant."
Well, there seems to be... You remember that living parasite? Something very similar to it. And then there's also a plasma-based energy coming from it. But the strange thing is, there seems to be an alien... I can't even... It's not on the table, sir. It's not on the periodical tables.
I see. Are there any unusual radiological signatures?
Besides the plasma and the energy, that's the only thing I can report on, sir.
Out of character, does what Osprey's looking at bear a resemblance to Dreng clone that was sort of phasing out of reality, doctored the ship, which we boarded?
Similar to what I said to Lena, it looks related, but it's not exactly the same. So it would be similar to if, and I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but it would be similar to comparing, like, if you literally took blood out of someone versus if you took blood out of someone and then ran it through a bunch of equipment to try to, run tests on it and then modified it. Like, they started out as the same thing, but radically different. They ended up radically different.
Okay. Osprey will say, "Thank you, Lieutenant. But please go to work immediately on attempting to come up with a formula or a form of counter-energy to neutralize this, in case it is related, and force whatever it may be to stay inside conventional material plane."
Yes, sir. Agreed.
Yeah. And then he'll tap his comm badge and turn to Orca and Amital and say, "Well," and Osprey's got a little smile at the corner of his mouth, like he's starting to enjoy this. And he'll say, "Well, it looks as though one of the associates is very close, and the three of us," he says to both of them, but there's lots of other people in the room, "are standing in the middle of the trap, which is exactly where I propose to stay. However, joining us shortly may be one of your associates," he turns to Orca, "who may possess a plasma-based ability to not entirely exist inside the conventional realm, may phase in and out unexpectedly. If you have any advice on how to defeat this foe, that would be most welcome."
He starts rubbing his hands together. He's like, it looks like he's thinking for a moment, like he's trying to remember who you're talking about. And he's like, "You're talking about the Night Stalker, yes. Yes, he was the prototype. He was the first one to take the blood of the Egregoi, but he has other abilities too. He's connected to this ship. He will always be connected to this ship because he attacked you, and he will always know where you are, and he will be able to attack you again at any moment. But he is not coming because I am here. He knows that me, and he gestures to Amitiel, and he says, the two of us against him, he stands no chance. He will not come now. But when I'm gone, he may come again. He will probably come again. But now he will. And he starts like his eyes start fluttering, and his neck starts twitching. He's like, he won't come now. No. It's just.
Okay, focus.
Oh,
focus.
Yes.
He's not coming now, but someone with similar abilities is. Perhaps somebody
No.
who's not a prototype, a later one.
I stole the serum. I stole it because I needed it for me, in case this plan didn't work. I don't want it anymore. But they can track it, and they can track her, and they can track me, and they're gonna come eventually. Their propulsion is a snap of a finger. They know where you are. They could destroy you if they wanted to, but you're not a threat to them right now. But you should destroy that vial. And as he's saying that, he gets a grin on his face, and he says, or you could let me out, and I could inject it, and I could show you what I can really do.
Oh, Orca, I respect you too much to do that. And he won't say that, and I have already ordered its destruction.
Oh yeah, by the way, are you doing that? Are you having it incinerated?
Oh yeah, once
Okay.
the scan is taken, it is
All right, it's gone.
immediately.
It's gone. Yeah.
He'll turn to Amital though, and say, Amital, your friend appears to be drawing closer to the precipice of his version. I apologize if that is in any way distressing. However, are you able to provide any advice or assistance in maybe about to happen?
She thinks for a moment, and she says, after a moment of silence and thinking, she says, if you allow me contact with him, I can assist in releasing the mental stress. However, that will only postpone the inevitable. Eventually, he will become like his brothers, and there's nothing, not even I, can do about that.
He'll nod. Permission to do command insight into, is she on the level? I think she is,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Difficulty 0. She's not even contesting it or anything.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yep, and then...
So I'm guessing she's completely on the level.
Yeah, and you get 2 momentum, so you're at 8. And yeah, basically, you get the feeling that, and this is just a little bit more information, that the Dren clones are programmed to, for the lack of a better term, revere or worship the infamous. And so basically what he's done is he's taken that, like, zeal or that vehement adoration and placed it upon her. And that's pretty much the only thing keeping him from becoming what he's supposed to be, is like his dedication and his devotion to something other than, like, he's just taking his mind off. It's like an addict. You take away the alcohol, they're gonna go to drugs or something. Like, that's kind of the same thing. Like, he's basically like got his mind just on her, and that's basically what's keeping him in this realm of somewhat sane. But once the insanity creeps in completely, not even she'll be able to prevent him from going back.
Osprey looks forward to a conversation with Amital about how on earth this happened, but that's for later. So he takes Amital at her word, and he wants to maintain a good relationship with these two for the moment, just in case they really actually can be relied upon. So he will take a step back and gesture to the Dren clone in the force field and say, I know you don't need me to lower the force field, and I would rather be facing only an enemy to my front than one to my front and rear simultaneously.
She nods and says, understandable. And then she just gets up and she walks through it again, sits down, and just like they're just sitting next to each other. And at first he's just kind of like sitting there, he sat down too, and he's just kind of rocking back and forth slightly. And then they just start muttering things to each other. you can't really, unless you like get up near the force field and try to hear it or eavesdrop. You don't really know what they're saying. They're just he's mutters something and then she'll whisper something and then he'll like laugh at something she says, and for the first time probably that you, especially since you've seen or known her, she does have a small smile creep into her, onto her face. But
All right.
Ultimately, at the end of this little conversation, he kind of seems to calm down a bit, and then she just stands up and walks back towards her bed.
Okay. He'll allow them their privacy. He suspects that will make it more effective, and his focus is on waiting for whoever's about to spring the trap.
Well, speaking of which, a security officer walks in. Now, when you sent security after Lieutenant Wren, did you want her brought here or just thrown in the brig?
Thrown in the brig.
Okay, then we'll just say she's thrown in the brig. What was it? Let me find his name. Security officer. The assistant armor ensign Scotus says, Scotus, the captain, I have placed Lieutenant Wren in the brig. Mazette is soon to follow her in less than 5 minutes.
Thank you, Ensign Scotus. What is Mazette's status? How was he captured? And why was it taking 5 minutes?
But he just on the he says, she was just on the other side of the ship, sir. We just had to dispatch another security team, but she is on the way.
He'll nod to that and say, "Thank you, Ensign," and then he'll how to phrase it? He'll beep 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 up to Commander Dawson. And so, Captain Osprey to Commander Dawson.
Dawson here.
I've been informed that both suspects have been taken into custody. Please dispatch a normally off-shift security team to confirm this, and please monitor both of them carefully in case this is another deception. We are to remain at red alert until we have discovered their plan and what, if anything, they may have done already.
Understood, sir. Bridge out. We'll come back in just a moment. I want to jump to the starbase real quick. Commander Zed.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, you
Yep.
guys have sort of come to a compromise as to what to do and what you plan on doing. Is there
Yep.
anything else that you would like to say or do before pretty much the meeting ends and Baraka and Kamiya leave?
He goes, huh? He looks to, this one.
Kamiya.
Yeah. He goes, how did you see my father?
We have the
No
ability
one else can.
to see multiple planes of existence. There are entities coming and going throughout this very room that nobody is ever aware of. We can see the departed, and we can see those who have yet to come. We can see a lot.
Because I was the only one who could see my father for a very long time.
Would you like us to make him corporeal? And then when she says that, Baraka just laughs. He says, that is not our job. Let us go, Kamiya. But if you answer her, then you get the feeling she will do it for you. If you want.
Will you be out? Yes, please.
Yeah, when she said that, your Trevor, your father was like shocked, and then he's just like nodding, like, yes, please, I don't want to be dead anymore. And she stands up and looks to Baraka and says, your heartlessness will be your downfall, Baraka. And then only Zed can see as she places her hand on his shoulder, on his dad's shoulder, and like he starts to physically manifest, like, because before he was part translucent, like you could see through him, but you start to see like actual flesh and actual cloth begin to materialize, and you see a slight bit of like, I mean, you're an engineer so you recognize it, a slight bit of electroplasma energy transferring from her fingertips and into this man that's being created before your eyes, and then after probably 30 or 40 seconds he is fully formed and you can physically touch him. And he's touching your shoulder, he's touching her shoulder, he's touching his own hands, like he's like Like he's never been able to touch, taste, smell, or anything for like I think it's been like a couple years now.
Yeah.
So what do you do? What does that do?
He gives his dad a hug.
I need to find a freaking. I kept saying I need to find a token, and I never freaking did. But yeah, we'll have a token eventually. Sorry, go ahead.
And he will thank her.
She nods and says, "No need to thank me. Our original duty was to bring life and to protect those like yourselves. There's some of us," she kind of glares at Baraka, "who have forgotten our original duty and have decided to take things into our own hands. But we were built to be servants for those like yourselves."
I hope I have talks with you again.
I am sure you will. And go ahead and make one more presence and command check. It's going to be difficulty 0 for her, but difficulty 2 for him. So if you get 2 successes, you won't make a friend out of him, but it'll be enough to get you that made an alliance with an enemy reputation. And you'll basically make him like sort of kind of like an ally, if that makes any sense. So like he's not going to be like best friends with you, he's not going to like you, but he is going to like if you need something, he'll be there kind of thing.
Can I'm gonna use 3 momentum.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming it's coming to a close.
Yeah, about 30 minutes.
In half an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow. 7 successes. So that gives you 5 momentum. So that puts you at 8 momentum and 2 bonus momentum, which I have a feeling y'all are gonna need. And just so you know, it's good that you actually succeeded in this diplomacy, because this dude was about to destroy the space station when he first arrived. So you've succeeded in saving thousands of lives. Good job. But yeah, basically you have made an alliance with a really powerful ally that will probably definitely be helpful in defeating the infamous allegiance.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a good day then.
Oh yeah, for Commander Zed for sure. Oh, definitely for Commander Zed for sure. But back to the others. So the Captain or Commander Dawson has contacted off-duty security. They have clocked in basically for overtime and went to ensure that everything is on the up and up with Lieutenant Wren being in the brig. By the time they get there, Mazette is also in the brig. It seems, based on internal sensor data, it seems like she was, whereas Lieutenant Wren was practically at sickbay, on the saucer part of the ship. Mazette was like in engineering at the back, or near engineering at the back of the ship. Just it didn't seem like she was doing anything in particular. Investigating some Jeffries tubes, maybe. She seemed to actually be doing her job, but she also is in the brig and I'll ask Osprey, do you want any players in the brig, like interrogating her, or are you staying in sickbay, and are you leaving Carr and Neelan on the bridge? The reason I ask players is because if things are happening on the ship that don't have players there, they just happen in the background, and there will be kind of things happening in the brig, but I'm not going to just do it with NPCs.
So I'll out of character ask the party, do any of you want to have that scene and interrogate these people?
Yeah, since I'm a betazoid, I might be useful.
Okay, alright. In that case, Osprey will, looking at the list of Legion NPCs, secure.
And you don't have to worry about their jobs. Like, you can send explosives, demolitions if you want. Like, it doesn't matter. They all get the same amount of training. It's just they specialize in certain things.
In that case, I'm going to assume, just for stuff, that the I'll tap communicator and say, Commander Dawson, please dispatch s5e09 Cortal and Lieutenant Neelan to commence the initial phases of the questioning. They will be joined by my adjutant, Lieutenant Truesight.
Roger that, sir. Where did you sent Truesight and Mackle somewhere? Where did you send them earlier?
So, I can't remember where Mackle was, but
I think you sent
Truesight
him out
is
of sick bay.
yeah. So Mackle was no, sorry, not Mackle. Truesight was with Osprey in medical.
Yeah.
Because he's keeping his trusted eyes and ears at a vital point.
Right.
And so, as long as Osprey is staying with the Dren clone, he's sending his trusted adjutant keep an eye on the other key thing that's happening. So Truesight isn't necessarily going to take the lead unless Truesight feels an opportunity strikes. Her main role is to watch everything that's going on and honestly report to the captain.
Okay. And she will actually tell you, like this can be before she heads to the brig to watch over Neelan and the others. She will say that how Mackle dealt with his artifacts that he brought, Dren's artifacts that he brought on the ship with him, was totally against protocol. Like he just threw him in a locker. Like you're not supposed to just do that because it could be anything. Like it could be an explosive, and she's gonna be like, he needs to understand protocol and why we don't just throw things in lockers when someone brings them aboard.
That's very, very true. As part of him just throwing it in a locker, was the locker improperly secured, as in someone could have more easily broken into it than if he obeyed protocol?
I mean, I'm assuming that these lockers aren't mechanical lockers, so like once it's closed, it's sealed. So yeah, he just threw it in and sealed it. But the problem was nobody really knew where it was except for like a couple medical staff, him and the Dren clone. And 2, it could have, if it was explosive, which it was a vial of translucent stuff, so who knows, then it could have still just exploded without it being scanned or anything. So those are the two main things.
Osprey will note Truesight's comments and say, "Thank you very much, Lieutenant. I shall be sure to bring that up with the Lieutenant." And add a character. Osprey is about 90% sure it's incompetence, 10% suspecting deliberately aiding an enemy.
Yeah.
Because it was as
there
secure.
could also
so
be just some, like, he probably just doesn't... It probably also has some animosity towards you or the people on the ship, and also towards the Dren clone. Like, just a combination... Like, all of those things together just made a perfect storm of him not giving a shit.
Yeah. And so Osprey is gonna... As I said, he's 90% sure it was just incompetence. So he'll, when he does have the debrief, which we need to go into, he'll deliberately scatter in hints of, "I am talking to you," and it's clear that some of his questions are designed to work out whether he is an enemy agent.
Right.
And he's doing that so as that hopefully Lieutenant Mackle is scared shitless of, "Oh my word, my fuck up has caused this. I need to get my act together." And then he'll probably, assuming Mackle says nothing weird, let him off with a minor disciplinary for incompetence and breach of procedure, and send him back to work.
Okay. So in the brig, Neelan, you arrive with Lieutenant Truesight and some security officer, and the security officers kind of just stand. One stands. I'm gonna say the one that came with you stands by the brig of Lieutenant Wren, just kind of making sure in case the force field comes down or something. Lieutenant Mackle is there, standing behind the main console, and Ensign Scotus is kind of standing by the other brig that has Mizette. I'll let you, Neelan, decide what you want to say to Lieutenant Wren or Lieutenant Mizette. If you want to say anything at all.
Well, out of character, can I try to get a read on the people that I was with?
Yeah, do you have telepathy or empathy? Which one do you have?
Yes, I do. Let me take a look at my character. Yeah, I have one of my focuses is heavy reliance on Betazoid empathy.
What about the talent, though?
hold on. It's kind of weird. Two of my talents are the same. They're both linguistics, for some fucking reason.
Yeah, but what about? Yeah, you need to send me your character sheet because that's not right. Is it written character sheet or is it digital?
No, it's digital. I can send it to you.
Okay, yeah, send that to me and because if you have so Betazoids, unless your you didn't want to have a telepathy talent, they come with telepathy, so you should definitely have a telepathy talent.
Yeah, I did not take it. It's just
Yeah.
my talents were kind of weird.
Yeah, that's okay. For now, because I remember you've used it before, so I'll just say that you basically can read surface thoughts if I remember how the talent works. And so you're looking at Ren. Ren is a trail, just so you know, and she, you get a lot of fear and anxiety, and you get a lot of what have I done? I hate myself. It's not worth it. I wish I could tell them and stuff like that. From Mazette, you just get, shit, they found out about Ren. You don't really get any guilt from her. You get a lot of guilt from Ren.
The other one knows about Ren, though.
Yeah, she knows something about Ren. She knows. You're not sure. You're not sure if she knows what she did, why she did it, how she did it, but she knows something.
Okay. I'm getting a strange reading from you, Ren. Is there anything that you would like to talk to us about?
Ren looks at you in fear, and she doesn't say anything. Her lips are like really tight. You probably don't know this character very well, but I would say it's you know her well enough to know that the way her face is right now, it's like she's forcing herself not to say anything. And she's standing, but she goes and sits on the bed, and she just shakes her head back and forth, in the negative, really slowly. And Mazette is standing there in the other Briggs cell behind the force field, watching. She looks really nervous. She is really nervous, but she doesn't say anything unless you want to directly ask her or something.
Yeah. And what is your problem?
I can't talk about it, Lieutenant. I'm sorry.
What's the rank?
Lieutenant, basically same as yours.
Okay. So, let me get this straight. You're just gonna waltz yourself. I'm talking to Ren. You're just gonna waltz yourself onto the brig and take a seat on a bed. Things are not looking good for you. Computer, activate the force field in brig number 2.
Another force field appears. Let me know when you send me your character sheet too.
Yeah, it's gonna be a minute. I might get booted, so
Okay.
what I'll do is I'll end this. It'll be like, Captain, keep an eye on these two. Something's not right.
All right, and then we'll go back to Osprey, and we'll say you've probably been here a couple hours, or maybe 2.5 hours at this point, and Orca is once again looking a bit worse for wear, and he's just smiling. He's starting to smile at you, but he's also like tapping his fingernails on the bed next to him, and he's got like this devilish grin, and he's like, no matter what happens to me, you're all doomed. He's coming.
Osprey will smile back at that and say, "We're doomed from the moment of our birth, and so are you. It's part of the fun of it all." And then he'll turn to Amital with a slightly warmer smile and say your associate is worsening for his own welfare and for the safety of all present. I believe it would be best if he were to be sedated and put under until such time as he can be appropriately transferred. Can, of course, attempt it ourselves and work it out, but it will be a little crude. Do you happen to know immediately of any methods that we can just employ to make this an easier process on him?
And she just says, I can put him to sleep. And he screams, no, don't you do that to me. I don't deserve that.
Osprey will give a nod and say, please do. And I'm sure when he is of his right mind, he will thank you for it.
She just nods and says, understood. And she gets up and, again, walks through the force field towards him. And this time he struggles. He kind of tries to push her away. But as soon as he touches her, he, like, it looks like like some kind of drug or sedative was inserted, kind of by touch, basically, injected into his body or his bloodstream. And he just starts to, like, and then he looks between both of you, and he's like, you're a traitor and you're a fool. And then he collapses back onto his back, out cold.
That's interesting. Who was he looking at when he said that?
The way his mind was, he's back and forth. Like, there's no way to tell. He was looking at both of you when he said that, basically.
Okay, alright. Osprey's gonna note that, and he's gonna think, oh, maybe I know I'm not a traitor. But so he's thinking he's either talking to Amital or he's saying Amital is a traitor and Osprey is a fool. But Osprey's happy to play along with this, and he'll say to Amital, thank you for your assistance. My colleague here, he gestures to a medical orderly who's nearby, will arrange stasis for your friend, so he can be as comfortable as possible and be as securely transferred. Is there anything we can do for you? That is unfortunate.
He is in a state of perpetual nightmare and torment.
And I'm assuming that, judging by the fact that you have been unable to solve this, that you are unable to provide us with any advice about what we can do for him.
You misunderstand. I have placed him in such a state when you requested that he be put unconscious.
Okay, that's interesting. He notes that. Also, why did you put him into such an uncomfortable sleep?
It is the only way to subdue a Dren clone. Eventually, a normal sleep, he would be awakened by his own genetics.
I see. I thank you for putting him into that state. From what I have gleaned about your relationship, that may not have been an immediately pleasant thing for you to do.
It was not.
It is noted and appreciated.
I must go now. They are looking for me. And then without another word, she just fades from existence.
Alright. Osprey is definitely going to be ordering every single tiny piece of internal sensor data on her to be analysed at a later date.
Oh, that'll be fun. Wait till you see the character sheets.
But yeah, once we're out of the red alert. But nonetheless, the Dren clone's definitely going to be put into the stasis, so he stays in this state. And he'll then say to he'll tap his badge and say, Osprey to bridge.
Bridge here.
Has there been any further indication of any unusual activity?
Besides what we've already reported, no, sir.
I see. Take us to Yellow Alert, but keep extra security shifts present at all key areas, including the medical bay, and ensure that security teams are not assigned to their more usual postings in case anybody has been infiltrated or their deployments have been anticipated.
Yes, sir.
Very good. And then he'll say, Captain Osprey out. And he'll turn to medical and say, Now, well, it appears that the situation here is in hand. I will leave security staff with you, and periodically we'll be checking in on this location. But unless you have any further need of me, I am going to head to.
Yeah, they're just a bunch of NPCs and ensigns, so they just nod and go back to work. I think they're
Very well.
good. And you said you're going to the bridge, you said?
No, to the brig to
The brig.
talk to the prisoners.
All right, this will probably be our final scene. As you enter, and Neelan, so because you did such a good job this session, I'm giving you a spotlight milestone. I recommend you trade out one of those talents for telepathy or empathy, because you have cautious, science, applied research, backup plans, and did the reading, all of which are good, but none of them actually let you use telepathy or empathy, so I would trade one of those out.
Okay. I don't know if I'll be able.
What was that? I lost the last part of that.
I said I don't know if I'll be able to get it on Roll20, but if you have some time in the near future, would you help me work on it?
Yeah, you just gotta remove one and put in the telepathy, and that it's not super hard. So
Yeah, I don't have access to Roll20. Like, I have the app and it does nothing for me.
well, I'm not talking about Roll20. I'm just talking about your character sheet in general, the one that you have.
So basically, I'd have to redo my character sheet.
Does it not let you change it?
No. It's just from that. It's just from the character generator. So I don't know how to do that at all.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll figure that out.
It should automatically let you change it.
Yeah, the PDFs are editable.
He might.
Yeah.
I don't. One of my phones doesn't even have editable PDF, so he might.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's like I haven't been able to do that to any of my characters that I've built so far.
Yeah. I accidentally
Weird.
deleted my PDF reader because it was taking up space. But anyway, all right. So what was I doing? Oh yeah, music. So you get to the brig, and Neelan, you just cannot get. I mean, Ren is tight-lipped. Osprey, you get in there. What do you do?
Osprey will ask that the second prisoner, Lieutenant. So I have to look at it every time. Lieutenant Mazette be moved to a location where she cannot see or hear this conversation, in case that's why Ren isn't talking.
All right. She will be moved. We'll just say that you made it soundproof, so yeah.
Okay, cool.
Better.
And from Lieutenant Wren's personnel file, what's her family situation? What do we know about her background?
If you got 2 momentum, just spend one of those bonus momentum. I mean, you got 2 bonus momentum, so spend one of those, and I'll just tell you everything, or I'll give you the gist of the situation regarding her background.
He's planning on at some point leveraging her family. So
okay.
yeah.
So this is completely out of character, and her family, I mean, is like, as far as you can tell, just a normal family. Living on the Trail homeworld. She hasn't been in contact with them in over a week. It doesn't seem like this has anything to do with family. This is, like I said, this is completely out of character. Her service record is impeccable. It's almost as if either one of 2 things has happened. She's doing it against her will, or she is not Lieutenant Wren.
And is she a joined Trill?
Yes, I'm pretty sure she is.
Okay. All right.
This was gonna happen to Peck, but then Peck's player couldn't show up.
That's unfortunate. Okay, Osprey will walk up to the force field, which will remain up, and say, Lieutenant Wren, how did this happen?
You see her eyes move, like her eyes are on you the whole time, but once you finish asking that question, her eyes move slightly to the left and to the bottom. Or no. To her right and to the bottom, like she's looking at something either in the corner or something that you can't see.
Okay. Osprey will step aside and on a nearby monitor sort of bring up the CCTV that's presumably inside the cell to see if that shows where she was looking at.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing none of the sensors can see anything out of the ordinary.
Okay. He'll turn back to her. Say
10.
That
She says
is-
all of a sudden.
okay. Does she sound like weirdly monotone and level when she says that?
No, she sounds terrified.
Okay, yeah, she's got a nanite in her brain and she's about to explode. I mean, I don't know if they explode, but I'm going to assume they do when people start doing a countdown.
They can do stuff. They can do something.
So he will say, my apologies. At which point he'll order Lieutenant Wren to be transported. So he'll order. The runabouts can be remotely controlled, as I understand, or the shuttles.
Sure. We'll say yes.
Yeah. So he'll go through to the bridge, and specifically to Lieutenant Carr as the engineer, and say, Captain Osprey to Lieutenant Carr.
9.
Car here.
Isolate all functions on a shuttle so they cannot be controlled internally. Take remote control, fly it away from the ship, and then transport Lieutenant Wren to it.
Aye, sir.
Alright, that is going to be insight or reason engineering. Because you're doing all of... I'm not going to make you make multiple rolls. I'm just going to put all of the rolls into one. And that difficulty will be a 3. And I'm going to increase the complication range to 5. With threat.
Okay, we've got a ton of momentum. I'm going to use that. And I'll go ahead and pull a determination here too, because even though he's the engineer, he's also an officer. So he will be pulling not just an engineer, but a Starfleet officer to get 2 successes.
Okay.
And then consuming 3 momentum on top of that.
Wow. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And she says 8. So that's yeah. You do the math on all that. Shields are. I don't think you guys had your shields up. Mainly because. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the moment the shuttle is clear, Osprey will be giving the shields up order.
I figured. I just wanted to make sure that you guys weren't trying to beam through shields, basically. But yeah, she is transported out. What is Osprey and Neelan doing once she is gone? Do you guys head back to the bridge, or are you guys going to continue talking, like try to talk to Mazette now? And as soon as she beams away, Mazette is like almost in tears. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't say anything. She was going to be killed if I did."
Yeah, I want to stay and try to get some more answers for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Osprey will also stay with an aim to get more answers, but he's going to step to the side, and his immediate focus is going to be on handling the potentially explosive situation until that's been resolved. So he'll be recommending that if the transport is successful, that Lieutenant Carr manipulate internal atmosphere to try and knock her out. So if whatever reason she doesn't explode when the countdown ends, we can go out, we can attempt to rescue her, we can work out what's going on, just in case. But it should mean she's clear if she does explode.
Okay. So just my brain trying to catch up with my, everything else. You wanted first to knock Lieutenant Wren out on the shuttle, right? Is that what you said?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Just want to make sure. So that's, in fact, you guys have 7 momentum. Spin a momentum will say that you can do that remotely. And as far as your sensors are concerned, Lieutenant Wren is unconscious. Anything else that you want to do? Are you also still in the brig, or are you heading to the bridge?
Oh no, he's still in the brig.
Okay.
And he'll once that's happened, he'll update Commander Dawson and say, Osprey to Commander Dawson.
Dawson here.
I suspect that Lieutenant Wren may self-detonate in approximately 6 seconds. Please monitor the situation. If for whatever reason there has not been some catastrophe on the shuttle in the next minute, I leave it to your discretion about how to investigate.
Captain, we're getting hail from the runabout Colorado.
Oh, that's Interesting. She should be very unconscious and remotely locked out. Well, actually, is she on the Colorado? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
randomly
okay.
said a name. We have a
Okay.
we have a character sheet with Colorado, so I use that one.
All right. Osprey will say, "Put it through."
And
Lock tractor beam on it.
okay.
The comms comes over the bridge. I'm going to go to the bridge, and he transfers it to the brig as well. But it's clear from just how everything is set up, and Lieutenant Carr would basically be able to tell that this is a pre-recorded message that was recorded like in the 1 minute that Ren was on the runabout before being knocked out, and she basically is saying, "Thank you for understanding. Again, I'm sorry to knock out Lieutenant Peck and the others.
I was being ordered to from the infamous Allegiance. The nanite in my brain is the only one. He could deactivate. If he deactivate it remotely, it will deactivate my brain as well. I don't understand exactly how it works. There's one thing that I need to tell you before I go, though. It's a 3-part component to this nanite. It's part biological, part mechanical, and the other part is some sort of non-corporeal life form from a subspace dimension that he's using to infuse both parts together. And then it looks like she's once again looking down into the corner of like some imaginary screen, and she says 4, and then she looks back and she says, just tell my parents that I went out doing my job, doing what I love, and then that's when the gas hits, and then she passes out, and then it was sent automatically.
Okay. Alright, well, if she hasn't exploded in the next 60 seconds, then there may be efforts to recover her safely, but I suspect she will not live that long.
And are you, you got the tractor beam on?
Yeah, so if for whatever reason the runabout is taking control of, it can't escape.
Gotcha. Do you want to fast forward, or do you want to try to do something else in the next couple minutes before the inevitable?
No, we can fast forward. Osprey, now that he's briefed Dawson on what's going on, he trusts Dawson to handle that situation, and I imagine we'll do that conversation next session.
Sorry, repeat that last part?
I imagine we will do the Mazette conversation next session.
Oh, okay. I mean, we could do it quickly now. Basically, what happened was Ren told her, don't do anything, don't say anything, I have to do this, or I will be killed, and then Mazette was like, okay, and that's pretty much it. Like, Mazette isn't controlled or anything, she just didn't want her friend to die.
Okay, alright.
That's the long and the short of it, basically.
Alright.
But yeah.
The career is over, but alright.
Yeah, we could do that one. That part. We could do the court martial next time. But yeah. So yeah, a minute goes by and nothing seems to happen. And then the scans from the science console come back as no life signs on the runabout.
Okay, so she likely just shut down rather than died. In a non-urgent fashion, Osprey will direct that Commander Dawson.
Oh, let me correct myself. There is one tiny life sign about the size of a Trill symbiont that's still alive.
Ooh, okay, all right.
Yes.
Those things tend to last about 12 hours to a day, I think. So Osprey will order that Dawson carry out a cautious symbiote recovery mission, but to expect all sorts of traps and various devices when attempting to go aboard the shuttle, and he will say that the shuttle is not to be brought inside the ship until it is confirmed safe.
Okay, so if you guys, like I said, we're at the end. You have 6 momentum. If you want to spend 2 momentum, I'll just say you're able to successfully get the Trill symbiont. The shuttle is deemed safe because the nanite has done its job and is now basically non-existent. The non-corporeal part of it that was, controlling it is gone. So it's basically inert at this point. So, however, so it basically, if you do recover the host body, you can kind of take out that part of it, of the nanite, and investigate it further, but you're not going to really get anything from the non-corporeal entity side of it. You're only going to be able to understand the biological, organic, or mechanical.
That sounds like a job for Tolly.
Yeah.
A combination, actually, engineering and science, but And as for the symbiont, so it's definitely going to take you longer. Probably, I can't remember. I think, how long did it take you guys to get from Starbase to here? Like a day? Can't remember.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
We definitely had off-duty periods.
Yeah. So it's So you're probably not. However, actually, let me take you guys to the map because there are. So originally the Starbase was supposed to get attacked, but since Zed is amazing at diplomacy, if you guys want to say that you can come to this Starbase or this ship here, we could say that there is an unjoined trail there, which is only like a couple hours away, where you guys can basically have that symbiont implanted in that unjoined. And that, like I said, it's only a couple hours away. Risk is minimum.
Yep. And I know that there's a clock with Trill symbiotes, so and there's a life on the line. At the risk of blending franchises, the punch it chewy order will be given.
Yeah.
Move at high speed.
Yeah. And there's like a 3-day period where the symbiont can be removed from the host without killing them both.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. So you basically once the host.
So pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much, once it goes over that certain amount of days, it becomes the host and the symbiont are together.
Yeah.
The rest of the
All right. So, wow, a lot has happened. Let's quickly, Mac. I know you like to leave, so I'm going to go through your reputation first. You're definitely going to get a spotlight milestone. I don't care. I know Tali's getting. Probably everyone's going to get one just because how awesome everyone did. But you're going to get a spotlight as well. Active course of those directives, yes. Active above on the Call of Duty, yes. Directly contribute to saving lives, even though your character doesn't realize it, yes. And also you brought your dad back to life, so that's 5. Taking unnecessary risks, no. Personnel your command were killed, no. Not you. Directly contributed to the deaths. Well, actually, technically, Ren is under your command. So -1 on that. 4. Resorted to lead to force without cause, no. Formed alliance with the enemy, yes, so that's up to 6. Maintain the prime directive, yeah. I mean, that was a pretty. I mean, you were dealing with a whole other culture, but you didn't act outside of their cultural norms. Like, you didn't do anything that offended them or anything. Well, besides the basic act of diplomacy, but other than that. So I think that's an 8 there. Preventing combat, yes, is 9. So Mac gets 9 positive reputation. Going to Osprey, I'm giving you a spotlight too, just because you did so much good diplomacy with Dren and the others, and honestly, it was just good role play. Like everybody just did great role play. It was great. So the quarters, orders, and directives, yes. Challenge directive, no. Active BLB on the Call of Duty, yeah. 2. Directly contribute to saving lives, yes, but not in the sense of that you might think. So what I had planned for is if Dren went crazy, Ametio was going to be forced to kill him, and you stopped that from happening. So, yes. 5. Taking unnecessary risks, no. Personnel under your command were killed, yes. So that goes down to 4. Directly contributed to deaths of others, not directly, no. Resorted to lethal force, no. Formed an alliance with the enemy, absolutely. That's 6. Maintain the prime directive. Again, with Ametio, you were pretty much, doing your job as a diplomat with another culture there. And even with the Dren clone, I mean, you could have totally been like, nah, you're a Dren clone, fuck you, throw you in the brig. But you actually, treated him like a human being, so that was good. So that's 8. And then preventing combat, yes, so that's 9. 9 for Osprey as well. Neelan, let's see, active quarters with orders directives, yes.
None.
Did you say none? What'd you say?
9 for Edgeford.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm rolling it.
I thought I said that, yeah. Because you got to do it 5 at a time. But anyway, so +1 for active quarters orders and directives for Neelan. He didn't challenge directive. Active above me on the Call of Duty. Going to the brig and doing all that was definitely above his pay grade as a science officer. Directly contributed to saving lives. Don't really think so. I mean, you did a lot of scanning, which I'm sure indirectly saved some lives, but I don't think you directly did. Not like preventing combat or stopping someone from assassinating someone or anything.
I apologize for interrupting. If I may, if nothing further is needed, I'm going to go to sleep immediately.
Have
Okay,
a good night, man.
Bye.
Good night.
Later. So yeah, let's see. Taking unnecessary risks. No. Person under your command were killed. She's not under your command, so you don't get that one. Directly contributed to deaths of others. No. Resorted lethal force. No. Formed alliance with the enemy. You weren't the one doing diplomacy in the sick bay, so not really. And Rin wasn't really an enemy, so there wasn't really, that wasn't there. Maintain the prime directive. I'll give you that one because anything could have happened with with that Mitio. But let's see. Prevented combat. Prevented combat. Yeah, I don't think so. Can't think of a. I can't.
No, I didn't prevent combat.
Yeah, I don't think so. So you get 4 positive reputation dice. So just got to roll 4d20, and if it's under your whatever your reputation score is, then you just add it to that. And I don't know. I don't think I kept up with your reputation scores, so that's something that you would have to do.
So in my notes I have 12.
Okay, so as long as it's 12 or under, then you just add whatever you. So like if you roll 4d20, and one of them is a 19, that doesn't count. But if one of them's like a 5, then you just add 1. It's basically that simple.
Okay.
And then we got car.
Can I roll it real quick?
Yeah, you can roll it now, and then. Let's see. Active above me on the car.
Got a 5,
Okay.
a 14, a 16, a 6, and a 2.
You rolled 5 times though, so you go up to 14 reputation. All right, Lieutenant Carr. So acted in accordance with orders and directives. Yes. Challenge the directive. No. Acted above me on the call of duty. I guess the whole thing with the runabout was kind of out there. That was pretty intense. I could count that. Yeah, it was mostly engineering stuff, but like nobody expects you to beam someone with a brain bomb onto a shuttle, and so I think that's fair. Directly contributed saving lives. Well, not Rin's, that's for sure. But I'm trying to think if there's anybody else.